and Remington Steel Show on a Tuesday night. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. Talking about Age of Sigmar and everything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer Fantasy, it's easy to learn the rules. I said it's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on a Tuesday night. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight.
Well, Mr. Remington, you really put that microphone to the ultimate test there. I think you were taking it to its limits.
Oh, is it a bit loud?
I think you blew through the actual microphone fabric a couple of times.
That's great. It's actually just a ribbon mic, so that it's possible to do that. I've turned it down now. Welcome.
Warhammer fans, of course, as Mr. Remington usually says, but he neglected it this week.
Oh, yeah.
It's episode 62 of the Andy and Rem Show. And as you can see, we have a guest, because you can see all of us at the same time by the power of the Hangout. When there's two people, it thinks you only deserve to see one of us at a time, but when there's three, you have to see everyone all the time. So I've warned Mr. Remington not to pick his nose or any of his other off-camera bad habits that he usually just hides, sailing under the radar with them. Of course, we're joined by the painting phenom, Amy Snuggs. Hello there.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
We are radiant this evening. How are you?
Good. Doing really well. I'm really busy at the minute, so I've not really done any painting in ages, so it's a bit sad, but I'm hoping to get back to it at the weekend.
Oh, cool. Now, I was wanting to do a little theme tune for you, Amy. Would you like that?
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay, this is like, you can be like a Bretonian damsel.
Ta-da! Beautiful.
Thank you.
Excellent. I think every guest needs their own theme song now.
They do.
We've
They
set
do.
precedent.
I want to get, when we get Vince from Warhammer Weekly on, I think his theme should be, do you remember Ralph from The Muppet Show?
Not really.
No.
Okay, it'll come together. Come on. Am I that old?
I'm afraid so.
Oh.
They don't call you Old Man Remington for no reason, you know. Okay, let's see who's in the audience tonight, because it is a packed house as always. The comments are flying by. Let's see who's made it onto the fabled active users list for this week. We've got Bazooka J Rambo, Demon_Lizard_from_outer_space, Gloomdready Gaming, Graham Rig, Greeter Demon of Nurgle. You gotta be careful. Lee Cunningham, Legion of One, Mickey Genver, Mini Warrior, Peter Higgins, Retropia TV, Roadkiller85, Santiago Horse Frail, Sean Blake, Skeleton Flower, The Soul Assassin, Tim Thorson, and of course Newbie, and there's Evil Reg. And I think that's pretty much everyone that's commented so far, so hello to everybody and welcome to the show, especially if we've got any first-time watchers in there as our audience continues to expand. Now, we've got quite a few juicy topics to delve into this week, none of which are Age of Sigmar news related, because there hasn't been any. There's been a lot of 40k on the GW website, which of course we're not going to look at because that would be pure heresy on this show. However, our guest did attend the Age of Sigmar Open Day last week, and may well have picked up one or two tiny little awards, perhaps. So, I think first of all, we should have a quick look at something pretty sweet here. Boom. There we go. Look at that. So, would you like to talk us through the 3 Golden Demon finalist pins?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, this was my second Golden Demon. My first one was back in May at Warhammer Fest. I didn't really properly plan an entry for this one, really, in terms of painting for Golden Demon specifically, because the weekend before I was at a tournament and I had to paint a 2,000 point army for that. So if anybody knows my painting or looks at my painting on social media. Recently I've been painting Stormcast Eternals. So I decided to take them to the tournament, and I thought, oh, I wonder which of these units I could take to Golden Demon and enter, which ones am I the most proud of. So I entered 3 categories. The single model, which is my Night Quest store. So when I say I didn't paint specifically for Golden Demon, in the couple of days before, I actually took this model, because I'd already had it painted, and I made some changes to it. I changed the colour of the plume to a more sort of green colour, because before it was quite blue, so I wanted it to be quite different to the blue on the sword. And I made a couple of refinements to the scratches and gouges on the armour, which is something that I've been learning to do. I'm not really good at it yet. I'm sort of still learning.
How do you do that, Amy? Do you use your nails?
No.
No, because I swear I do that. I get my thumb and then I'll actually scratch into it. Does that work for you?
Well, to be honest, I don't use my nails, but when I painted my ogres, I actually used the clippers to basically create sort of gouges in their weapons. So I guess you can use that, but no, these ones were just painted on. So you get like, you can either do it one of 2 ways. You can either start with the highlight first and then paint in the sort of like dark chip colour. But what I did for these ones was painted the brown colour for the chip, which was Rhinox hide, and then painted silver underneath, giving it the highlight. So it's something that I'm kind of still working on and hoping to get better at. So
well, you say you're still working on the old paint chipped off and weathered look, but I would say that effect is probably what separates your Stormcast from the majority of the pack, because a lot of people's, mine included, tend to look quite clean, and yours definitely look like they've seen some action.
Yeah, I've had a couple of people say that they prefer my kind of scheme of damaged compared to sort of the more traditional clean sort of look. Yeah, because I wanted to go for something a bit different, because originally I never really wanted to paint Stormcast, and for the whole year while they were out, I really didn't like them, and I never thought that I would have a Stormcast army. I think just because they were like everywhere. But then I think it was when the Dracoth Guard and everything came out, I was just like, oh yes, I'm gonna, I really like this army and I'm gonna buy them, and I just went out and just bought everything. And
Amy, when did you paint your first ever miniature?
It was about, I think it was about 2 years ago.
Wow.
No.
So
Yeah.
that's amazing. And you started painting lizard men, didn't you, Seraphon?
No. I painted the lizard men last summer.
Okay.
Summer before that I started painting the Hobbit miniatures.
All right.
And then I went into a little bit of 40k, and then when Age of Sigmar came out, that's when I completely just like started painting like loads and loads.
So from Age of Sigmar, you've now got Seraphon, Flaming Dwarves.
Yeah.
Who?
Ogres.
August.
Ogres.
Ogres. Okay. Sorry, it's your accent. Yeah. So Flaming Dwarves, Ogres,
Yeah.
Seraphon,
Yeah.
Stormcast.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I've painted an Archeon.
An Archeon. All right, I'll put him aside, but that averages an army every season, every 3 months.
Yeah.
You're painting a whole army. That's incredible.
It takes me that long to paint one model sometimes.
Well, like I said, Amy, I don't know when it was I told you you're going to start. Don't know what you're going to do with them. You're going to start selling them. You're just going to hoard these vast armies.
I think. Well, it's. I think eventually it's going to get to the point where I'm like, running out of space. At the minute, I've got most of them sort of on display. Although my Seraphon are all in cases at the moment from when I've like been gaming with them and things. My Stormcast currently in a case as well because they're not finished. But yeah, when it gets to the point where they're all, when I've finished my Stormcast and then, because I'm thinking of moving on to Sylvaneth next. What am I gonna? Where am I gonna put them? So yeah, I'm gonna have to buy a bigger house, I think.
That's usually the answer to these things. Now, we've looked at the single model here, but of course there's more.
Yeah.
There's the Fists of Sigmarite.
Can we zoom in, Andy? I want to see the gouging.
We can. Let's see what the zoom will give us here.
It's pretty good. Wow, I love them round shields.
Yeah,
The
that
round
was,
shields do look good, actually.
Yeah, they're way better than the square ones, I reckon.
yeah. It was actually my partner sort of gave me the idea to do that. He was like, "Why don't you just use the round shields from the prosecutors?" I thought that sounds really cool, so I did it. And he was like, "Oh, now everyone's going to think that was your idea, so I'm publicly admitting it's his idea." So yeah.
So Joe, these golden demons, Amy.
Yeah.
Even the pins that you got, are they real gold?
Probably not.
Have you checked?
I wouldn't bet
Because the
on
price
it.
of gold is going up at the minute. Because I've been doing my stocks and shares on the app, right?
I
Just
don't know.
saying. I always thought it was real gold, right?
No, I don't.
I would highly doubt that. This is GW we're talking about here. Maybe that's why they charge the prices they do, so they can afford all these solid gold statues that they give away every year. So, is there anything particular with these guys that you did in preparation, or were these left as they have been?
They were basically painted, I think, the week before, or the 2 weeks before, but not for Golden Demon. But I think I did pay a bit more attention to them than the other Liberators that I'd had previously, just because I knew that I wanted to enter them. But I think if in future, if I was going to work on them again, I would spend a lot longer on them, I think. Yeah.
So, Amy, do you think that with each army you paint, you discover or you learn a new technique?
I think so, definitely. I mean, the main sort of technique that I've been learning, from painting the Stormcast is more about sort of weathering and aged armour and chips, things like that. I think with my Fire Slayers, it was a lot about contrast. So yeah, I think with every army I try to pick something which is going to be a challenge, because I think that's the best way to go about it. It's like my Sylvaneth, yeah, I could, there's ways where I could paint them quite quickly if I wanted to. I could, easily dry brush them. Part of me is thinking about, I wonder if I should take my time with each one, edge highlighting all the wood, really sort of working with glazes.
I would recommend you try dusting.
We're going to hear all about your dusting later, Mr. Remington, don't you worry. The revolutionary technique that you've pioneered in the community.
Yes,
We're going to dedicate a full 5 or 10 minutes to that later on, definitely.
It's all about sharing. I've learnt about gouging tonight, which I'm very grateful for.
Now, one thing I would say about all these Stormcast, it's an example of when people say, well, they're just fully armoured, that's just boring. Only if you make it boring, you can actually do quite a lot of effects on them, like the rust and chipping and so on. There's no real limit to how far you can go with it. It's just wherever your imagination takes you, so they don't have to be boring. I suppose it's the same way people look at Space Marines, only with Stormcast, of course, they're supposed to be kind of shimmering metallic warriors, rather than like a more kind of cartoonish colour, I would say.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the main event then. Because, of course, this bad boy also picked up a finalist pin.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, how on earth did this not pick up more than a finalist pin, looking at it here? There must have been some pretty snazzy competition there.
Yeah, I mean, and I never expected to win anything, and I think sometimes that's the best sort of attitude to go in with. And when it's difficult, because I think you see a lot of pictures from phones and everything of the cabinets, and it's hard to really tell. So you kind of do need to be up close and personal with them. And I think although I've had a lot of people say that it looks amazing, and like people before, a couple of people said that, oh, you'll win something. But I think it's when you saw it in the cabinet compared to the other large models that were there, you could tell that there was a difference, I think. And that was one of the bits of feedback from the judge. He said it was quite obvious that it was part of my gaming army. So, and to be fair, that's true. That's what it was really. I never really sort of painted it specifically for Golden Demon, and it's quite obvious because it's not on a display base. It's just on its gaming base. I just didn't have time to make a display base for it. It was just kind of I'll enter it and hopefully just aim for a finalist pin. So yeah, it's I think, and also a lot more about contrast as well. That was the main thing. It's just trying to spend as much time as possible on every single piece of the model. So the scales took me in total about 3 full days, so about 8 hours each day. So talking maybe upwards of about 20-24 hours, something like that. But for example, a lot of other parts of the model maybe only took me an hour. And I'm not saying spend 24 hours on every single piece of the model, because most pieces don't need that. But I think it's just about spending that time on making sure that every single piece of the model is to finesse, and so that's something that I want to try doing in the future.
So you think with this particular model, I think the reason maybe it stands out, like you were saying, with the contrast in the colours, it does stand out from a lot of others. And I'm sure if you were to look really technically, zoom in as close as you possibly can and look at some other people who have been painting for decades, then you'd see some kind of really smooth details and transitions and so on that normal human beings can only dream about. But maybe they don't look as effective and they don't jump out at you as much as yours does. But obviously when someone's judging, they have to get right in there and look down into the tiniest crevices. They can't just judge it from like 5 feet away on a gaming table.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a thing that happens.
Yeah. But yeah, I was, and to be honest, I don't really regret not spending any longer on it, because at the end of the day, it wasn't for Golden Demon. It was for my army, and a lot of the conversation I had with the judges and everything, it was Darren Latham, who was quite a sort of a massive painter in the Games Workshop world, and he was talking to me about whether you can be an army painter and a Golden Demon winning painter, and he thought that you couldn't be both. So for me, it's about now, what sort of challenges do I want to put forward in the future? Do I want to focus on painting armies, because that's what I've been used to, or do I want to aim, to hopefully win a Golden Demon in the future? And that's certainly a goal I want to do, and I'd love to achieve. So I think it's about just sort of splitting your time between both, really, and just trying to learn and improve the skills, really.
What kind of model do you think you would go for if your goal was to actually win a big grand prize at a Golden Demon? Is there something particularly you think your skill set would lend itself to?
One piece that I actually wanted to work on for this one, but just timing just didn't sort of compute for me, was a unit of Auric Hearthguard, the Fire Slayers, the ones with the sort of fiery guns. I really wanted to sort of work on the skin on that, and just sort of really try working on blending, and instead of using washes for shading, using thin down paint, which is one of the tips that the heavy metal team told us at the Age of Sigmar Open Day, was to use sort of thin down glazes of paint rather than washes, because it gives you more control. I have time, so I think I'd like to do something like that, something in the Fire Slayer scheme that I've done before, because I think it does sort of I think it's it does have that contrast in terms of the fire and ice sort of scheme. So I think I'd like to work on that. I did pick up the Stormcast model that was out on the day, the Knight Errant Questor, is it? So I don't know if I'd want to try and work on him and hopefully try and paint him to Golden Demon standard, or whether I just want to paint him for my army and focus on something else. I'm not sure, but I haven't given it much thought yet.
What about you, Mr. Remington? If you were ever going to attempt a Golden Demon win, what kind of model do you think you'd be putting forward?
Well, I didn't realise that there would be such a difference between models for gaming and models for Golden Demon. I think maybe they should have 2 categories, because you should be able to use your models in the game, right? No matter how well painted they are. I think that's even better to raise the standard of the what's on the table in the game, right? But I guess sometimes it's impractical with the size of bases people use for the display stuff, right?
Yeah.
But what was the question again?
What kind of model would you think about working on as a project if you wanted to win a Golden Demon one year?
I don't know.
What do you think you could paint really, really well?
Something big. Something big, I think. What, really, really well? I don't know.
Here's the most important question, maybe, then. Would you put Potpourri on its base?
Yeah.
Do you
Definitely.
think you could win a Golden Demon with Potpourri basing?
Yeah.
That would be the ultimate, wouldn't it? If you won the Slayer Sword with Potpourri basing, you'd go down in history. Now, I've got a little bit of audience interaction that we want here. So, Mr. Remington was suggesting some rather alternative, shall we say, chipping effects on miniatures, including use of the fingernail. If you've got any particularly crazy ways you think Mr. Rem should try to weather or chip at his miniature paintwork, other than just leaving them in the back of his car in a big box, which usually does the trick. But if you've got any tips, any suggestions, then drop them in the comments now, and we'll come to those in a minute. So, a couple of other things. Obviously, you weren't just there purely for the Golden Demon. I assume there are a lot of other Age of Sigmar related activities going on there. What did you get involved in?
Yeah, there was so there was the main sales area, then there was a gaming area where they had a specific sort of small games that were going on. We didn't take part in them just because we just didn't really have time, to be honest. So there was a whole sort of section on heavy metal where they were doing demonstrations. There was a demonstration on painting ice blades and crystal blades, but because of how busy it was really hard to. That was I think, to be honest, if I was going to critique the day, I think what they could do is potentially have the demo pods in another room, because the demo pods were in the room with the heavy metal painters who were just there for people to talk to, the army painters also there for the same reason, and then there was the Forge World painters and sculptors that were there showing things coming in the future, and also a Sylvaneth display. But because there were so many people going around, it was really hard to sort of hear them, because they didn't have mics on or anything. So we actually couldn't watch the first one because it was just really hard. I had no idea what he was saying. Luckily, the second one, it was painting Sylvaneth sprites. So it was painting the kind of spirits part of the new, the tree revenants and spite revenants. And luckily, we were able to get a front seat for that. So that was really useful, and that's where I kind of got a lot of this enthusiasm for wanting to paint with glazes and using thin down paint, which I've experimented before with the Fire Slayers that I started. But it really gave me a lot of good ideas to work on for my Sylvaneth that I've built and will get around to eventually.
So Amy, you've played with all these armies that you've painted, right?
I do. I play like certain, games every now and then.
Which one's been the best one for you?
In terms of playing,
which one's won the most, or that you enjoyed the most?
Well, won the most has probably been Seraphon so far, because I played more games with them, and kind of, so they've been quite powerful, especially with the wizards. But I think most fun is probably my Fire Slayers, actually, because they're not amazing, but they're actually, the synergy works really well with them, especially with the heroes.
Right.
So it's, I think that they were really fun, and just sort of seeing them all on the battlefild and everything together. Because
do they get mowed down quickly? Because they've only got one wound, haven't they? The basic troopers, that one wound and not a great saving throw, probably.
Yeah, they do. I think it's a 5-up. I think I've not played them in a while, but it's. They do, to be honest, but they do have a couple of them, apart from the Aura Card Guard, I think, have a second save where basically if you're within 10 inch of a hero, you can roll another 6, they ignore the wound, and you add 2 to the saving roll, so basically it's a 4 if they're within 10 of a hero. So that kind of makes them quite resilient to that, basically.
So it's kind of like the cheesy Norman rule. Remember the cheesy Roman was jam on hat, like you always get an extra 6 saving throw, kind of like that with Fire Slayers.
I think all the new armies, there's quite fun synergies with them, and a lot of the old 8th edition armies that were repurposed for Age of Sigmar don't have quite as much in that way. They have more options because it's a bigger model range, but they don't have quite as many. It's not like a perfect jigsaw that fits together and you have all the perfect synergies lined up as much. Whereas with the likes of the Stormcast and the Fire Slayers, they were all obviously very much designed with all that in mind. And I think it's fun playing more so with the new races than the old ones as well, because those old armies, to me, they don't necessarily fit in 100% with the way Age of Sigmar. The look as well, more than anything else. I think the new armies, you feel a lot more attachment to the Age of Sigmar world when you're using the newer armies, I think, on their nice round bases, the Fire Slayers, the Stormcast and such. Because I've had a lot of fun playing with the Stormcast compared to, let's say, the Dwarves so far. I don't know if you guys would agree with that.
Yeah. What have I liked playing with? I've played with my Aurochs, Beastmen, Dark Elves. Something about each one that I really like. Ogres are great. Ogres are great fun. But while we're on the subject of armies and stuff, actually it's not on the subject of it at all, but have you heard of this TGA community?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just joined it the other week. It's brilliant. It's the guy from Bad Dice who started it, but there's a thread on it that's got up-and-coming rumours. So I thought maybe, because we didn't do it at the start, I could tell you some of the up-and-coming rumours about what's meant to be released in the next 6 months.
Remington's Rumour Mill.
Remington's Rumour Mill.
Have you got a little theme tune for it?
Not. It could be quite a tongue-twisting, rolling thing, couldn't it? Remington's Rumour Mill.
I think it needs a quick theme tune before you give us any rumours.
Just come up with genius stuff just like that, right?
Yeah. Any Remington-centred segment needs a theme tune.
Well, someone in the community kept going on about dubstep, so if I might put that little dubstep bass line down.
Oh, God.
Remington's Rumour Mill. Remington's Rumour Mill. It's the only place to go. If it's what you want to know, it's Remington's Rumour Mill. Hey, look, the bones are there for something great.
There we go. Well, we can expand on that on a weekly basis, I think. So, what have you got? Hit us with these rumours.
Okay, now, this is the same thread that predicted that the Beastclaw Raiders were coming out 6th of August. And they were correct. Up-and-coming rumours are Steamhead Duardin. New sculpt plastic faction. Date expected September 2016. Contents. Blimps and jump packs of some kind mentioned. Quite a steampunk faction. Like that.
Does it say anything about previous models being compatible with the range at all?
It says it's a new faction.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know what blimps are. What's blimp?
That'd be like an airship.
Ah. What's a jump pack? Is that like a jetpack thing?
Yes.
Ooh.
That'd be funny. The bearded dwarves flying through the air.
Dwarves, it would be a bit dangerous with the beard hanging out, wouldn't it?
The fat guts hanging out as well.
Can you imagine the beard getting sucked into a jetpack?
Mr. Blobby Beard flying in the sky. Alright, we've got the next one. There's a few books. I'll skip them because we want to know about the models, don't we? Rumour. Tzeentch, Lord of Change. New sculpt model.
That would make sense.
Late 2016 after Duardin. Contents. A large plastic Lord of Change. Possibly a dual kit. Similar to the recent Bloodthirster.
That would make a lot of sense because they've done the Bloodthirster recently. They've got a lot of Nurgle stuff done lately, and we know they're not that keen on Slaanesh these days. So if Tzeentch are the big thing, it would make sense that they're going to have their new big centerpiece.
Well, I have to stop you there, Andy, because there's another rumour. Late 2016, Slaanesh Keeper of Secrets.
Oh!
A large plastic Keeper of Secrets, possibly a dual kit similar to the recent Bloodthirster.
Well, this Keeper of Secrets hasn't done a very good job then, has it? If it's been leaked.
And staying on Chaos, another rumour, the Tzeentch Arcanites. New sculpt models, expected late 2016 after Duardin. It's a large Tzeentch faction released, which is Arcanites, which... Arcanites, are they like the guys from the Silver Tower with the beaky helmets and the bare chests?
Yeah, so maybe they'll just release them in their individual boxes then.
Maybe, yeah. So, with some more demons as well. And then we have, before 2016, Death. New sculpt models.
I think that's much needed, I think.
Unknown Death faction. Why do you think that, Amy?
Because I feel like Death is the one faction to me which really just doesn't appeal. Because I feel like there's just hardly anything. Apart from Nagash, there's nothing else that really appeals.
Yeah, there is. There's the blood like creepy rotting corpse thing with the ghouls, and then there's like zombies and.
They're all old models though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think they're all quite old and I don't know. So
what models would you like to see then?
I don't know. Something completely different, like a brand new. I think that's what would be really good. I think that's what they need, a brand new race, even if it's for Death or anything else. Just something completely new that they just make up. And
Come on, let's brainstorm. Let's brainstorm.
Question, though. Are Death the only Grand Alliance at the moment that haven't had a new army been released with all new models in it, or mostly new models? Because Chaos have had the Bloodbound, Order have had the Stormcast and the Fire Slayers and the Sylvaneth.
Yeah.
Destruction have had the Iron Jaws.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they're the only one. So they're due one, aren't they? If they're going to be called a Grand Alliance, they can't just have the ye olde vampire counts in there.
Yeah.
It gives about time.
The flayed, the thingy crypt horrors, the things with wings, whatever they're called.
Yeah, the Vargeists and the crypt whatnots.
Yeah.
What about you, Andy? Get us brainstorm here. Some new Death units. We've got Banshees, we've got Vampires, we've got Vargulfs, we've got Vargeists, Zombie Dragons, Terrorgeists, Crypt Ghouls.
How about a race of undead goat people that are also the new Beastmen, but they're in the Death Grand Alliance? Acknowledging that Beastmen were always so terrible that obviously they were all killed and someone's just brought them back to life.
My point is, I reckon they've covered all the bases already. You know?
It'll be something that we can't think of right now.
What about something from fiction, something from history? You know,
They don't like that anymore though, do they?
You've got Tomb Kings, they're all undead, aren't they?
Well, you know what they could do? With the current way their sculpting is going, they could have an army that's entirely just ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Could happen. If the audience have any suggestions for what they could do with Death that would be in any way original, then drop them in the comments there. Now,
I think one.
Oh, Amy's frozen.
Uh-oh.
On that though, I've got a little idea. Look, she looks quite ghostly there, doesn't she? She's just frozen in time. Maybe she's seen a ghost. What about this, Andy? Here's an idea for a new unit and scenery. All right. I hadn't thought of $1 million idea before the show started until it's just hit me now. Spirit faction. All right. An ectoplasm pool.
Mm.
How about that?
So it's a pool.
Yeah, and it's like
Contains liquid.
Yeah, but it's like ectoplasm. It's like the stuff that ghosts leave behind, and then like these spirits come out of it, and they shoot ectoplasm. And if you get shot with the ectoplasm, it's like a paintball shot, but it like turns you into an undead.
So it's like a summoning unit, kind of, but it's a pool.
Yeah.
And it spits out these ghosts.
That's all you start off with. Or you
in
just
turn,
start
spit out.
pool. Well, you can. It's like random stuff spits out of it, right? Anything could spit out of it.
Could they potentially have a caster who dances around it?
No, but he's in the pool, you see. Oh, we start off with this bubbling, smoky pool, and then like you roll a dice, and then like ectoplasm forms, and like a spirit host comes out one turn, all right. But then the pool can like disappear, and then just appear in another place, right in the middle of your army, and then like tentacles come out and drag your warriors into the ectoplasm pool, and they come out reborn in death.
That sounds good.
I think it needs some tweaking, but I think there's potential there. As far as your $1 million ideas go, it's definitely in the upper tier.
Thank you. Death faction ectoplasm.
Now, we did have a suggestion earlier when we were asking for alternative weathering. I can't find who said it here, but someone suggested salt, and I'm not sure how that would work exactly to paint chip. Anyone aware of that technique?
What's it called again?
Using salt.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've never used it.
What do you do? Do you rub the salt onto the miniature, or do you dissolve it? What do you do with the salt? Did you use it for basing?
Do you just pelt it with salt and hope that some paint chips off?
I don't know exactly. I think you just... to be fair, I've no idea. I've just heard of the term, but I don't really know what the actual technique is. I've never used it.
I mean, my first idea that comes to my head is like for basing, right? You put like salt, pour like rock salt onto the base, and there you go, straight away for the new ogre faction, right? And then like you just get a little bit pepper, grind the pepper, and then you got some like little black bits in the snow. There you go.
It was Retropria TV that suggested the salt trick and suggests that you look it up. And Peter Higgins says chipping medium, easy weathering. Now, as far as I'm aware, that is you'll put down a colour underneath, then you'll put that over the top, and then you can easily chip off bits of it. It's like, I'm not sure if it's brittle paint or if it easily splits or what, and then you can see the colours underneath. Something like that. I've definitely heard of that one. I've seen people use that technique.
Now, Amy, have you used the bloodied technique yet?
Blood for the blood god?
No, real blood.
Oh.
Now, when all the miniatures were metal, you see, and you try to like change it yourself or like do a conversion, you'd often like cut yourself by like chopping into the miniatures, and then like that used to happen to me quite a lot, and then I just let the only little cuts and that, nothing like didn't have to go to hospital or anything, but then I just like would put the blood onto like the end of the weapon. Just wondering if you've come across that technique.
No, not personally, but
Well, do you know how they actually make blood for the blood god? Well, it's 50% Lamian medium, and the other 50% they get Duncan from the painting tutorials, like on a bed of nails overnight, just lying back on it, and then the blood that trickles down into a pool. It's like the runoff from a George Foreman grill, and it combines in a big swirly pool, and then they mix it together and drain it straight into the pots. That is an undisputed fact.
Now, talking about scenery, right? Do you know you get those pots, and it's like grass, right, for your basing, yeah?
yeah.
Now they cost about what, £3 to £5?
Are you going to say that you just go out into a field and pull up some real grass and use that for free?
No, I'm saying go to like Asda or any Walmart if you're in America, and just simply get a pot of mixed herbs for about £1, and there you go. You've got it all there in the supermarket. Don't need to go to a specialist shop. In fact, for £3, you could get mixed herbs. You could get like coriander and like something like paprika.
And how do you stop it expiring on the base?
It won't, because it's dried already.
So it'll last forever.
Yeah.
Will it retain its aroma?
Yes, for a couple of years. Yeah.
Well, if that works, it's got to be better than your dried up potpourri technique, hasn't it?
Yeah. Shall I tell you what I use on my bases, which is quite cool?
Oh yeah, tell us.
Useful for some people. I'll just get it. So, basically, it's kind of like, I think a lot of people use sand, or like sort of bits of grit or anything, but I use, I don't know if you can see that, crushed oyster shells.
Oh wow! Now you're talking.
Now it might sound really random. Basically, you can get them from the pet shop. but all it is just really finely ground oyster shells, I guess.
Let's have a look. What colour are they?
They're just sort of like brown and grey, and there's some white in there. But what I do is I get some of that, mix it in with some paint. You can use glue if you want to, but I always find that it dries completely fine. And then it just kind of gives. I'll show you an example here if you can see. It sort of gives that kind of rocky texture.
Yeah, it's better than using cork, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
And it pretty much gives a similar kind of effect to Games Workshop's like Astro Granite. It looks a bit more rocky. It just depends how much of the mix you use.
I like that. Definitely going to try that. I mean, I don't really have a pet shop near me, so if I wait till it rains and then like look outside for a bit, there might be some snails and stuff. Do you know what I mean? I could possibly get some snail shells, crush them up.
I don't know, what would you do with the snail?
I'd put them in a pot, boil them up, bit of salt, and pepper, bit of
Well, you don't want to
Tabasco.
use your salt for that because we have had the salt technique explained here by Retropia TV. Let's see, the salt lets you cover bits of the model, so when fully painted you can either wash the salt off or pick it off to reveal the original base colour. Right, so it's like you're laying the groundwork for the future chipping.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Tabletop Minions says Ectoplasm Pool is totally OP.
Is that overpriced? What's
Overpowered.
Overpowered.
It did sound like it to me. Let's see, we've had some more feedback on your ideas here. A few people backing up your mixed herbs idea. Mickey Jennifer says raisins.
Raisins will look like, I don't know, magma droth poo, won't it?
Well,
No.
there you go. Perfect. If you want to add a bit of realism. Although you'd have to paint them with like lava veins running through them, wouldn't you? Legion of One says mixed herbs is awesome. Once painted it. Right. Now, the next thing we're going to look at here. We are going to assess some of the Stormcast Eternals because, of course, we have 3 Stormcast Eternal Pro painters here. So, here we go. These are from the Andy and Rem Show Facebook group. And this is from Tim Davis, who was showing off his eyes painted on his Stormcast Eternals. And I don't think I've seen anyone paint the eyes before on these things. It definitely gives them something extra, doesn't it?
Yeah, I love that effect. Amy, you've done that, haven't you, with in the side like the magma droth's mouth?
Yeah.
It's like a dry. I mean, have you maybe dusted them?
God.
No. This is actually my other half, Tim. Yesterday he thought he had this bright idea to add eyes to the models. So normally what I do is it's similar to what he's done to his, is paint it white and then glaze it blue and add a white back in. But because the Stormcast eyes, they're kind of if anybody's ever obviously you guys have, if anybody's ever seen them, they do go back quite fast, and it's quite difficult to get that glow effect. So what he's done is he's got really, I think it's like the same sort of beads I think that you use to put in what they call them, water filters I think, or something like that. And he just painstakingly glued this tiny little sort of bead into the eyes and then painted it, and then realised that he's got to do that about 50 more times. So kind of regretted it, but then thought, oh, I feel like it looks good.
They look great, man. They look great.
You could easily overdo it though, couldn't you? If they stick out too far and they end up looking like they're on stalks, it'd be like one of those old cartoon wolves with a big like heart pumping out of their chest as well. If you go too far with it, but yeah, they look good. It looks natural. It doesn't look like he's just shoved something into the eye sockets or anything, does it? Another picture there.
Yeah, they look cool, man.
Now,
So-
just a quick thing though. How many Golden Demon finalist pins does he have?
None.
Oh well,
But
that's a shame.
it's got more Best Painted Armies awards than me.
Amy, did anyone like when they found out they didn't win? Did anyone like go crazy and like throw stuff around or smash the table up?
No, I don't. No, I don't think so. Not that I saw, anyway.
I've seen people get angry at painting awards before. When I was at Adepticon, there were a few people that weren't too pleased with the results.
So someone in the comments is asking, how do you make ectoplasm? The ectoplasm pool. And I was just thinking, any ideas?
So, we want to know how you can make a kind of thick, slimy, liquidy substance.
There's that kid's toy, isn't there? Do you remember that? Like, is it called slime? It's like comes in like a plastic pot, and it smells kind of nice, right? And
There were a lot of products like that. There was one notable one. I think it was called GAC.
GAC.
Yeah, that was a kind of slippery, slimy children's product.
That could be good.
Yeah, I'm not sure about any of these things. I think maybe you just want something that resembles slimy, but isn't actually slimy and sticky.
What about PVC glue that's dried up?
I have no idea. Audience, give us some tips now while we continue to look at Stormcast here. How would you paint the ectoplasm? So, these are from Lee Ascroft with his pink Stormcast Eternals here, and the bases on these are what immediately jump out at me. Very, very nice basing. Other than just the pink shoulder pads, which of course are slightly unique. I don't think I've seen those before, apart from on his work. But they are very, very tasty. I would like to see some professionally lit pictures of these rather than just on the gaming table from above, though, to get a true look at what kind of detail's going on, because they look very well kind of highlighted, don't they?
Yeah.
The edges of the shoulder pads and everything. More here, because the pink, it does look much darker down there than on the top, so I'm sure he's got some effects going on that the pictures don't do justice. Although with this one, that looks pretty tasty. The base there, I really like that.
Yeah, that's really good.
Very tasty indeed. Now we've got some more. There's his Knight Venator there.
He looks like a fairy. He looks like a fairy, doesn't he?
It does look like a little pixie or something, doesn't it, with the pink wings? I can definitely see that.
I think it looks really good. It's a nice change from white wings.
Yes. I'm not a huge fan of every single Stormcast Eternal looking the same.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, oh, there's mine, what do you know, sneaking in there. This was the first one I did, and I think I've refined the techniques since this one. I still think this looks pretty tasty, though. I think it's mainly just the kind of flatness of it compared to a lot of other Stormcasts that are really bold and shiny. This is a bit more down to earth, I think. Then, of course, we've got my Knight Venator, and I like how the bird looks. And the black wings I prefer to the white, definitely. And then, boom, culminating with this guy. And Mr. Remington, you were asking earlier about people developing new techniques while painting an army. I can say one thing I've definitely added while painting the Stormcast is this idea of dry brushing white onto just select areas, which you can see I've done on scales on this beastie.
Zoom in for us, Andy.
Let's get right in there.
Yeah, nice.
Because you can see if it was just it's like two increasingly light dry brushes of purple over the black. But if I'd just left it there, I think it would look a lot more dull. But the fact that the old white's been dry brushed on there, which is, white is a colour, it's probably the most important colour for taking kind of the base coat wash dry brush painting system to the next level. Just little bits of white. Even a lot of the professional painters just use bits of white in weird places you wouldn't expect. I think it's very important.
You're doing a great job, Andy. I probably wouldn't have done the hilt of the hammer in purple. Possibly would have done that a contrasting colour to the Dracoff, and then they kind of would have been a bit more separated. But that's just me. I think it's fantastic still.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what colour to paint the Dracoff originally because I'd done all the hairstyles and all the weapons in purple on the previous guys. And I thought, well, if it's going to be a slightly different purple because that is just Gene Stealer purple with wash over it, whereas the Beast is another kind of purple, dry brushed, and then lighter purple and then white on it. So I think it looks different enough because that purple up there looks really kind of bright and cartoonish, doesn't it, compared to this much more.
It's an odd figure, isn't it? Because that is a two-handed hammer. There's no way you could wield that with one hand without smacking your Dracoff in the face.
Well, he's going to have to now because he's got a shield pinned on him.
I know some people are hoping for a Bretonnian release, but when you've got names like, Knight Venator and, that new model they brought out, Amy, what was it called at Warhammer World?
Errant Questor.
Yeah, Errant Questor. These are all Bretonnian-like names, so it leads me to believe they won't be. But I do have a distant rumour thread here, if you're interested.
Uh-oh.
These are models expected in 2017. Now, the first one is the Shadow King faction.
Ooh.
So
That sounds like it could be undead to me.
Shadow King? I would think that's Dark Elves, no?
Oh, kin. I thought you said king.
No, Shadow King.
Kin definitely sounds like elves.
Another Slanesh. More plastic Slanesh sculpts and a battle tome. Cornate Dragon with a Lord. That's a bit boring, isn't it? Come on, I've had enough corn stuff. That's a large dragon with a mounted corn lord. And
Yeah,
this
that
was
was
yeah.
the open day.
Yeah. Estimated cost £150.
Really? I'd say it'd be more than that. It's even bigger than Smog.
Wow.
It's absolutely huge. I don't know.
We have a Demon Prince of Corn, a new sculpt resin model, and that's also been seen at Warhammer Open Day.
Yeah.
We have the Fimir Noble, which is a Fimir model. We know about that because that's been on show as well.
Yeah.
And a Fimir Priest, and a Fimir Miarch, which is like a kind of a female wizardess. And a new Korgorath. Multi-part plastic Korgorath, possibly a single model or unit.
And we can hope that it doesn't have an identical pose to the one that's already out there.
Yeah.
And the final one, Bretonnian, Tomb Kings, and more. New sculpt models. Possibly Free People, Tomb Kings, and Wanderers factions. War Dancers specifically mentioned. Wow.
Interesting. Obviously, you have to take all rumours with several grains of salt, which are then later chipped away to reveal the effect.
Yeah.
But, interesting that Bretonnians are even being mentioned.
Absolutely.
People have pretty much accepted that they were just dead and never coming back. Same with Tomb Kings. So we shall see. Now, we've had some comments on the ectoplasm here. Graham Rigg says, translucent acrylic bath sealant with inks.
Bath sealant. That's good. I like it.
Retropre TV, using Nihilac oxide over white and then dusted ceramite white. Dusted, there's one for you, Mr. M, to give an ethereal look, perfect for ectoplasm.
Oh, that sealant idea is great because you could like paint a model normally with all the colours, and then you could like put this like sealant all around it, like he's been trapped in the ectoplasm, and it's like, do you know what I mean? It's like when Han Solo's trapped in the ice. That'd be a cool effect, wouldn't it?
We're giving GW free ideas here. If they come out with an army that looks like it's been frozen in carbonite, then I think we're owed some royalties. Stu Gibson says, you need an Andy and Rem Twitter. Some of us don't do Facebook. Well, everyone should do Facebook. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. Let's see, any other suggestions on that? Doesn't look like it right now. So, before we go on to your favourite part of the show, Mr. M, which is, of course, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
We are going to have a quick look at the new sponsor for the show, who's basically sponsoring the show and what the hell is that, with prize support.
Wow.
So, now, this is a commission painter, and we're going to have a look at some of his stuff now, just to give you some idea. If I don't accidentally close the page. There we go. So, you can see here, this is Blight Forge, and I've got it onto his fantasy page here. Obviously he does 40k and various other things. So let's have a look at some Nurgle first to get some idea of his painting.
Wow, that's next level, man.
It is. Now, this is apparently the only level of painting that he does. He won't do just your basic standard. He paints everything as well as he can. One of those perfectionist painters.
Yeah, these are terrific.
I think that's the best way to go about it, because some models, I feel like it's almost like the Stardrick, for example, just having that done at the tabletop level, it just kind of is a shame, really, and Alariel and everything. So I think it's always best to paint the best as you can.
So,
wow.
Lovely juicy intestines. Let's have a look at something else, if I can go back far enough. Let's find something that isn't Nurgle to look at for a second here. What should we look at? Should we look at corn? Right, let's have a look at some of these. Now, I like that basing there. That's pretty tasty, isn't it?
Yeah.
Apart from the fact they're on squares, obviously. But very, very tasty all round, I would say.
You need to lock your screen, Andy.
It's already locked.
Oh. Yeah,
For the viewers, at least.
These are amazing, man. I mean, how much would this set you back then?
I'm not sure how much a particular model would cost, but I'm sure I'll put a link to this website in the description if people want to get in touch with him about quotes for anything. And in exchange, of course, for us providing all this free A-list exposure for his work, then he's going to be providing some converted, high-quality painted miniatures for what the hell is that prizes.
Wow.
So
I mean, look, he's got ectoplasm on that model there, look.
Well, you could definitely use that kind of snow icy effect for ectoplasm, definitely, couldn't you?
Yeah.
So, to give you an example of his kind of... here's something that he just converted out of spare bits, basically.
So, this guy's going to make a prize from converted bits and paint it and send it to a winner.
Yes, so the way we're going to do that at the moment, this is our initial idea. So, we're going to compile the winners of the month's What the Hell Is That, and then do a random draw from those 4-ish people. So obviously if you win it more than once, then you're in with an even better chance of winning, and then whoever wins that will receive a model converted. And he is going to be open to taking kind of challenges as well. So if we come up with something that we really want to see, then he may be able to knock that out for us. So very, very interesting times. So there will be a link to this in the description. And with that, Mr. Rem, that links in nicely to your favourite part of the show, which of course also has its own theme song. Take it away, Mr. Music.
I can't remember the chords.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah. All right, here we go. So this, What the Hell Is That? Today's What the Hell Is That? 23rd of August. In anticipation for the steampunk Dwarven that we hope are going to be on the horizon, I have compiled a very special What the Hell Is That? All about dwarves. But golden oldie dwarves. From before some of you were born. What the hell is that? 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 Only Andy and Remington know. Here it goes. Are you ready?
The people are ready.
Oh, go! Right.
Oh my.
We have some oldie-weldy Citadel Games Workshop Marauder miniatures from back in the golden age of Warhammer.
Looks like we have 6 of them there. Is that right?
6. Can you tell me the specific names of these models? Now, you can't just say, yes, that's a dwarf, you know, that's a dwarf, that's no good. I need specific names.
And of course, if no one gets all of them in a few minutes, then we'll just go with whoever's got the most, as usual. So, fire away, people. Oh, we've had our first guess. Bazooka J. Rambo says, Dwarf Adventurers Team. Well, that's clearly not going to be good enough, is it, as an answer?
Well, there was a series of miniatures that Games Workshop put out called dwarf adventurers.
Here's
None of them are here.
Here's a question, Mr. Rem. How many of these miniatures do you actually own?
One of the first dwarves I owned was that wizard at the bottom.
I can tell you right now that I own
And I also own the berserker guy.
the one with the white beard.
What, at the
Because-
back?
Yes, he was part of the Dwarf Lords of Legend set, actually.
I love that box set, man. Absolutely loved it. But what's his name? Hey?
Does anyone know? Is anyone going to get this one? It's going to be difficult.
Amy, have you got any ideas?
I have never seen any of them in my life. I have no idea.
It may just come down to whoever can name 2 or 3 of them in the space of a few minutes. I'm sure there are people frantically Googling out there right now.
Well, a couple of these weren't really properly released. So they're worth a heck of a lot of money now.
Speaking of things that are worth a heck of a lot of money, you put some of your old miniatures on eBay, haven't you, this week, Mr.
Oh,
Rem?
yeah, I did actually. So if you're interested in them, go on to the Andy and Rem book, Andy and Rem Show Facebook page, and I've put up my auctions for eBay. There's some real cool stuff there, and they're
Halfling Blood Bowl team, for example.
an original 1991 Halfling Blood Bowl team with a tree man, and also a famous box set dragon, High Elf Dragon. And I'll keep putting stuff up and let you all know about it first. But there's already bids gone in for everything, so you better be quick. The auction ends on Friday.
No, I haven't seen a single guess of a dwarf's name yet. So you may well have stumped people here.
Okay, well, if they can't think of the names, tell me what the models are.
I think if people could, and the first one out there who can name 2 of them, shall we say,
Yeah, you could,
is
you
going
know,
to be the winner.
a little bit of research, you could do this.
Yeah, first person to name 2 of those models.
There's only actually 2 of these models that have names, as in like Joe Blogs. The other models, you just have to name what they were titled as. Come on, you give that a go.
Skeleton Flower says Throb something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's correct. Let's see. He then says Throbbing Death Eye.
What, is that the only answer he's got?
Yes.
Right.
Dino Titan Edition says Wadahillis Vatson.
Right.
I'm sure that's nobody's name. Mini Warrior. Dwarf Boar War Adventurer. Dwarf Vampire.
I never thought of him like that.
Retropia TV. Dwarf Marauder 1 and Dwarf Marauder 3.
No. Come on, what about that strange creature at the top? That's not a normal dwarf, is it?
Oh, we've got a legit guess here from Matthias Schaefer. Doc, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Sneezy and Dopey.
I know what, I should have put 7 dwarves instead of 6, shouldn't I?
Dino Titan Edition. Name 2 of them? Okay, no problem. The guy opening his coat is No Money for Clothes Son. The guy behind him is Need a Brush Son.
Do you know what? I think this is the first what the hell is that no one's got close to. So maybe we should put it up on the Facebook page.
If no one gets it, then we will. But I'm confident that someone out there who wants to put themselves in this month's What the Hell Is That prize draw is going to be able to name at least one of them. Surely.
Well, I know people from Warhammer World watch this show, and this bit of the show is their favourite bit. And I bet they can guess some of them, surely.
We've got a guess from James McPherson. Drum and Drone Olsen and Dwarf Flasher.
De Poix.
Are we going to give it to him then?
Yes, let's give it to him. Well done.
Okay, James McPherson is the grand winner.
Well done, James. Wow, yes. It's at the top. That is from the Chaos Dwarf Renegade box set, which came out pretty much the same time as the Dwarf Lords of Legend. And this was, I think, one of the first appearances of Chaos Dwarves up there. I love that box set. And if you want to get that now, you're going to pay about £70 for that now. Just for 8 models. And this was Throbbing Death Eye. Yeah. This was the unreleased Dwarf Flasher. This is the Dwarf Wizard from the Dwarf Adventurers blister packs that come out. This is an unreleased Dwarf Hunter. And this was the first... it's like a Dragon Slayer model. That is. And you get a big dragon's head.
You can see the dragon's head there with the tongue sticking out, can't you?
Yeah.
Looks like we've temporarily lost Amy there.
There you go. I've got one more for you, all right? This is going to be a tricky one for someone.
Oh dear.
Let me just find it for you all. Here we go. Anyone recognise what the hell is that?
At the moment, we can't really see anything.
Oh.
With the power of your Leicester-powered internet.
Can you see me now? Can you see me now?
We can see you, yes.
All right, what about this? Here we go. What the hell is that?
Yes, we can see that. That certainly looks like an old dwarf miniature with a feather in his hat and a very large weapon.
This will cost you a lot of money if you want this now.
How much would that go for?
Ooh. Well, obviously it depends how many people are searching for this at the same time as you. But I would say between £50 and £100.
Well, I can update the people that Amy's internet has actually died, apparently. So if it comes back, obviously, she'll be able to jump back in, but it may not. You know what internet's like.
Any answers down there?
Yes. The first guess, Graham Rigg said Dwarf Janissary or Janissary.
Janissary, yes, well done. This is an unreleased Citadel Dwarf Janissary. Janissary is like from the Ottoman Empire. They were like Turkish gunmen, basically. They were like the rank and file troopers, or the King's Guard, if you like. There we go.
Right, so unfortunately, no potential prize winning for that one. Now, there is something else we're going to look at here. A couple of things. First of all, this was in the Andy and Rem Show Facebook group, except just getting used to this new computer. I keep accidentally closing windows that I'm trying to share. Right, here we go. So, this is from Patrick Kloos or Klaus. And the main thing I wanted to show you here is the fact that he's using one of these castles, like the one I have, which is from Superplay.
Are they like about £5 then?
They're about £15 for a full fortress.
Wow.
So very, very good value.
What, then walls come with it too?
Yep.
The walls look legit to me.
Yeah, they look pretty good. And you can easily mess around with them and build them in different ways so they look even better. Now, this may look familiar to you, Mr. Remington, because this is the What's Mr. Remington Been Up To segment of the show, also known as I Am Sometimes in Focus.
Yeah. Well, I haven't quite finished the feathers on that Gaunt Summoner, but yeah, this is what I've been doing. I've been trying to finish off my Silver Tower models. Yeah, that Gaunt Summoner was looking really bad after I base coated him, and I just got to work on the eyes, and it all came together. But you know what? Pink and blue, a wonderful combination. But yeah, my first venture into Zinch. What do you think?
I think that is pretty damn tasty. Could you see yourself doing a full army in that colour scheme?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So you're going to be keeping your eyes firmly peeled, waiting for that potential Zinchian release coming up then?
Yeah. There's certain Zinch I ain't so keen on, like them flying, like, what are them flatfish called that swim at the bottom of the sea? They're like flying fish, aren't they? Not so keen on them. Stingrays.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, they've got like Zinch has got like these flying stingrays. Not so keen on them, but yeah. Yeah,
This one's almost in focus. You've got like his abdominal region and his groin and his weapon somewhat in focus. His hands in focus, I think. These little guys are.
Yeah. Sorry about that. He's not quite finished yet, but I just want to take a picture of all my Silver Tower things so far.
Well, we need to get a game in of this soon, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I've only got baddie models to paint now. So I've got these Acolytes, the Zinchi Gores, and the little Scutlings to paint. But you see that big guy at the back with the horns? The Ogroid. Oh, we're going to come to that.
We're going to look at him in a minute.
Cool.
And there's another look at this one. Good old eyeball there. And of course, you finished these as well this week.
Yes, I did. All 10 of them. I'd started batch painting them, and it just got into a real stride with these guys. And then the final thing was just doing the war paint. It was a lot of fun.
How long did it take to paint one of those Orc Riders? Because they look it looks like quite a bit of work's gone into the skin.
I started doing them in about 5 at a time. I did a test model, but I did like base coat wire, flesh, wire thingy, dark green, and then just different layers of green and some wash and then some more layers. I don't know, just come together.
The paint, as long as you've got the war paint, it looks like if you've got a steady hand, you could do that quite quickly.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the pictures, it looks a bit wobbly, doesn't it? But when you look at it in real life, because they're smaller than what you're seeing on the screen, they look fine. But I like the little, if you look at the guy on the left, did that dotted tattooing on his leg. That looks
Indeed, yeah, you can see that.
So, yeah, well pleased with them. Now,
this is your revolutionary painting technique.
This is my revolutionary paint. Now, you've heard of inking, right? You've heard of base coating. You've heard of dry brushing. All right, but I don't believe anyone's pioneered a new method of painting called dusting. Now, this model was almost entirely painted with a technique called dusting.
Now, is it safe to say that some people might accuse you of taking all the techniques found in dry brushing and renaming it and claiming it as your own?
Well, no, because this is dusting.
Would you like to explain the differences between dry brushing and dusting to all the people out there?
I've actually made a video on my YouTube channel, which I've got about 600 subscribers. It's not bad because I've never put videos out really. But if you go on over there, I will show you all Remington secrets. I mean, zoom in, Andy. You need to zoom in. Look at that. Dusting. Not dry brushing, dusting. Now you need
dusting, folks.
Yeah, you need a big paintbrush. Yeah, people like dry brush. This is the difference. People dry brush for highlights, but dusting is not highlighting. Dusting, you dust the whole model. Does that make sense?
Yes. Here's a question, though.
Yeah.
Bit of a crevice going on there. What's going on with that?
Oh, yeah, that's the way it came, man. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Put like milliput in there and...
Yeah, got to get a bit of green stuff in there, I think.
Oh, Christ. Oh, I don't know.
Well, now I've actually got an exclusive look at the paintbrush that you used to dust these models.
Yeah.
And here we go.
I've actually... Hold on. If you give me a second, I'll show you exactly the paintbrush I used.
And then I don't know what this picture was doing in there. But when Mr. Remington sent me the images to show off on the show, that was just in among them for some odd reason.
He's that handsome fella. Hey?
No idea.
Do you think he needs a shave? Well, look, I got this from Wilkinson's for like 40p, this brush. There you go. Dusting. You might need a smaller one if you're not really don't use this technique very often, but try it.
Mini Warrior is starting a new hashtag. Hashtag dusting isn't dry brushing. I'm not sure about this, Mr. Remington, because I think that dusting is dry brushing. Because when I dry brush sometimes, it does leave the dust behind rather than the paint. It's so dry that it does leave kind of a dust. So have I just been accidentally dusting sometimes rather than dry brushing, and they're actually totally different?
Yeah, they're very different.
Okay then. Now here's another thing that people have picked up on though. You said you didn't prime the model that you were dusting, is that right?
No.
Why?
I usually prime my models with like Chaos Black, sometimes occasionally with white or occasionally with skin colours. But do you know what? I couldn't be asked. That's the truth of it. So I just base coated it. Base coated it with straight on Fang. And then every layer after that was dusted on, apart from a final layer of white to go over his like tattoos. But yeah, and it's fine.
Aren't you worried about the paint not adhering to the surface and maybe peeling off, chipping off in the future?
If someone decides to gouge the model, then yeah, paint's going to come off, but it won't. Because I don't anticipate anyone's going to be holding my model up and scratching it.
I don't know if anyone in the audience would like to tell Mr. Remington about the virtues of priming. Then
listen, I know about priming. I've primed thousands of models, but I don't necessarily think you have to. Especially by the end of when I finished that model, there must have been about 10 layers on it, right? So you try gouging out 10 layers of paint. It's not that easy.
So if you're not going to prime it, just build up the paint layers so thick that no amount of hammering or scratching could take them all off.
Yeah, it's thick layers of light dusting.
Well, let's see. We've got some more hashtags here. Newbie says #ProDusted.
Okay.
Retropia TV, not priming models is the best. Why? So when guys like me buy up used Warhammer, it makes the stripping purpose easier, so I fully support non-priming. Well, I suppose there is that. If you're buying second-hand miniatures, it's easier if they're not primed.
Here's another technique for you. I don't know what to call it, but instead of priming the model, you just put like an ink wash over it to start with. And see what that does. That just like goes in all the crevices and that, and it's like a lot easier to paint.
#crevices. Mickey Jenver says Nigel Stillman didn't prime metal models. He was known for being a bit an outside-the-box thinker, though, wasn't he? And I think he used multiple layers of gloss varnish on all his miniatures, so maybe that's what protected them.
Well, maybe I should develop a dusting brush to go on general release. Maybe it could be like a Kickstarter thing.
Made from your own facial hair. Oh, it looks like we've got Amy back.
I am back on my phone. Because look at the internet, look at this sad situation we've got going on here. I don't know, you probably can't even see that, but it's just completely dead.
Yeah, we can see that. Totally dead.
It kind of works better on your phone, Amy. The sound is better.
Is it? No.
Yeah. Come on, show us around your place. Let's have a look at your minis.
Okay. I guess I've got a couple of things I could show you. Hang on.
Hold on, that's a nerd confession. Right behind you, Amy, a big poster of all the colours.
There you go.
Come back to that.
Oh, that looks like the old Dread Sauron thingy there, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then that's kind of the shelves of shame there. Some models that need to be painted. That's on my Sylvaneth at the top.
Now, this is a bookshelf, isn't it?
Yeah.
You ever thought about getting a display cabinet?
I have, but I haven't really ever sort of found any ones that I like, really. I think IKEA do some good ones.
Yeah,
but
you got to make it yourself, though, haven't you?
Yeah.
Now, we're talking about Remington and his dusting technique, but have you ever found the need to do any legitimate dusting because of the miniatures on that shelf potentially gathering dust?
Yeah, well, sometimes I have, yeah. But it's just a case of getting them off and dusting them. Sometimes using an old paintbrush works.
Nice. Let's have a look at that colour chart, Amy.
There you go.
Yeah, this is an exclusive look at a colour chart on a wall. You won't get this kind of content anywhere else, folks.
Look, I need one of those.
It came in the White Dwarf, I think, a couple of months ago.
Oh, I don't get that.
Yeah.
Wow. Bloody hell, that's great, man.
So yeah, it's really good.
There's a lot of paints as well.
Oh yeah, I did tidy the other day actually. I got one of those, the ultimate paint sets. But,
Wow.
yeah.
So
yeah.
Amy, now we're talking about nerd confessions, right? Now, when you folks come round, be honest. Do you hide all the miniatures and all evidence of painting?
No, it's a bit hard to, but we're massive geeks in every sense of the word. I mean, you just have to kind of take a look at our
Oh my God!
collection of things.
What are they?
Pokemon and Funko figures, and yeah, we're big nerds.
Yeah. Wow.
And The Hobbit.
That's the wow. That's the map, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah. So they kind of every time my mum comes on, she says, "Are you ever going to sell anything?" And I'm thinking, it would take forever to sell all of those things. So no, they're just going to stay there.
So then, Pokemon in the boxes, are they like collector's items or something?
Oh no, in the boxes are they're called Funkos. They're like sort of like figures, which are there's Marvel ones, there's Hobbit ones, but the Pokemon is. I've mainly got a couple of Amigos and Pokemon cards and things like that.
They look like giant squigs.
Some of them do, yeah.
Old Man Remington is always a little bit behind on pop culture, unfortunately, when it's not music related.
No, I heard about this Pokemon thing. You got it on your phone, and you like just wander around, and then you find it, and then you have to like zap it.
Yeah.
You throw your balls at it, is what you do, until it's captured.
Yeah. I have to admit, Pokemon has pretty much taken over my life recently. Like, just getting back into the nostalgia, and it's all because of Pokemon Go.
If you were a Pokemon figure, what would you be?
My favourite is Arcanine, which is a sort of like a fire dog thing.
And your special power?
I don't know. I guess Flame Burst.
Now, you know, Mr. Remington, there is actually a rumour going around that you are actually a Pokemon. Because Pokemon, the notable thing about them, the thing that separates them from animals, is that they say their own name. And you are well known to shout your own name in battle.
I am, and it works. If you shout your name while you're rolling a dice, important dice rolls, more often than not, it will go your way, trust me.
I think there's evidence to the contrary of that, actually, on video.
Try it. Amy should try it. You could go, Snugsy!
Yeah.
Try it. Try it for me.
I will.
All right.
Oh dear.
I
Another
mean,
rumour.
if you've got a very long name, it might not be as effective. Like if you shouted Retropia TV or like Mini Warrior, it's not. I don't know. It needs to be kind of like one word.
Yeah.
Mini Warrior has actually suggested another rumour about you here, Mr. Rem. He thinks that you created dubstep.
Do you know what? I used to live next to a dubstep DJ. He used to drive me crazy, man.
That sounds like anyone's worst nightmare.
I was sat like writing beautiful ballads on my guitar, you know what I mean, and just painting models and daydreaming about whatever, and then it'd be like this boom, 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 boom.
Is that worse than living next to a nightclub where just pulsating through the wall all night you just have like the same kind of through the wall non-stop?
Weird, like it sounds like Transformers making music. It's like someone doing that and like grinding metal with a big, like one of them machines that's like cuts things and it's round, and all the sparks are coming off. It sounds like that. There's no like. It's not predictable, but there's no soul in it for me. So I don't know. It's kind of I just moved out.
Now, there is something that people have been asking about actually, because we were talking about the launch of the Andean Remgate Wars, and the date that was suggested by someone on Facebook was the 9th of September, which is just before a big Age of Sigmar related event that they've got going on at Warhammer World. So potentially there could be people in town if we were to put something on the Friday, I'm sure we could get a couple of tables at least to kick off that potential campaign. So if people are interested in that, then go over to the Facebook group and let us know, because we need to get some idea if we can get enough people to warrant doing it then, or whether we should pick a different date. So the time is rapidly approaching, so we need feedback, folks. I know Mr. Rem's very excited to get the Andy and Remgate wars rolling, and the quest for the rare Remington steel substance.
Emmy, you coming down?
I am actually coming down to Nottingham on that day because we are coming to the Warlords event, but I'm not sure what time, because we need to find out when my partner Tim, if he can get the day off work. So we'll be able to find out next week. So hopefully, if he can get the day off work or finish early or something, then we can pop down. And otherwise, I'm sure we probably will be able to pop in before it shuts at 8 o'clock. But whether we can come down for games, I'm not sure yet. But hopefully, we should be able to pop in just to say hello.
Oh, that'd be mega. Yeah. Now, how do you feel about Hull beating Leicester City?
Amazing. Yeah, and then we beat Swansea.
Amazing.
We're going to do it this year.
You're going to do a Leicester.
Yeah, if that happens every year, that would be pretty crazy. If just every year a team comes out of nowhere.
I'd love it, man. Or like Man United and Chelsea, like panic buying, getting in these top billionaire managers just to buy their way to the title, and then like the little teams just always win it. I'd love it. Yeah, so you go quiet, haven't you? Because you're a Man City fan. Trying to buy your way to the top.
I think United have spent more money this season, though. And they've spent it on... they're not just the money they've spent in terms of transfers, but wages as well, you imagine, are quite astronomical for certain large-nosed players that United have acquired in the summer.
It's just silly, isn't it? They say these like top managers, but they manage the best teams, and they have the biggest budget, so... I mean, how hard can it be?
Yeah, but that's why they're hired to manage the best teams with the most money, because they're the best managers. If you're the best manager, you don't have to say, okay, every 10 years I'm just going to prove myself and manage some terrible team and do well with them, just to remind everyone I'm good.
Like Ranieri, you mean? Like actually winning the league with a relegation favourite team. That's a superb manager, isn't it?
It's definitely an achievement.
I mean, look, if you play Football Manager on a computer, are you going to be Manchester City? Or are you going to be like Hinckley United? You're going to be Hinckley United, aren't you? And start at the bottom, and you're going to getting into Champions League. That's the sign of a great manager, isn't it?
I remember last time I seriously played some kind of manager game on the PC. I played it with my brother and some other friends, like a big multiplayer game. I think I was Birmingham, and within about 3 years, I'd won the Champions League with them, which was quite funny.
I was Bournemouth, I think. Yeah.
And our view count hasn't dropped down to 5 people since we've been talking about football for the last 3 minutes, which is weird. You would expect it to.
Andy, back to Warhammer. You've got a new computer. Now, are you going to be playing Warhammer?
Yes. My old PC, when I would load up Total War Warhammer, it would come up with the recommended settings. It said recommended low. So I ran the test to see how it ran on low settings, and it was like an orc going really slowly forward, and it was terrible. It was really jittery and awful. So with the new PC, installed Total War Warhammer, loaded it up, recommended ultra-high settings. So I ran the little test, and it just ran perfectly smooth. So that means I'm going to be able to start doing some kind of videos on that at some point.
Have you got Warhammer Total War?
Yes.
Wow, I have as well. I got it for my birthday in June. And I can't play it because my computer ain't good enough, but I've been watching a lot of videos on YouTube, and I'm looking at the Beastmen and stuff. It looks so good.
Have you been listening out for the pronunciation of Iron Drakes?
No, I didn't look at the dwarves.
Well, you're going to have to if I start doing videos on it. I know you'll be glued to those. So that's going to be fun. That also means that we can start playing Vermintide again.
Yep.
Because we tried that, but it didn't run well enough on my old PC so that I could actually record any of it. But we could actually do some videos on that as well, because people were interested in seeing that at the time.
Yeah, it'd be fun, especially because you are exactly like one of the characters on there.
Allegedly.
The Witch Hunter.
Allegedly. So, I believe we have run this particular well dry this week. Run through everything we wanted to discuss. We've had a packed house all evening, as always. So I think, as Mr. Remington prepares his instrument for the outro, do we have any final words from our guest this evening?
No.
Any inspirational words out there, maybe, for aspiring Golden Demon finalist pin winners?
Keep painting. Paint as much as you can every day, if you can. And compare your painting to your own, as well as looking for feedback from people who are better than you is always the best way to go. So, but at the end of the day, just paint what you love and be happy with whatever. If it's an improvement on your last model, then that's the best you wanna sort of go for. But yeah, most of all, enjoy yourself.
Take it away, Remington.
Thank you.
Enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. Enjoy yourself. And let's just have a drink. Enjoy yourself. Check out Amy Snuggs' painting. Enjoy yourself. Especially when it's raining. Enjoy yourself. Andy and Remington show. Enjoy yourself before it starts to snow.